Maximize cloud efficiency with Doit, the trusted partner in multi-cloud management for thousands of companies worldwide. Visit doit.com. That's DOIT.com. Doit, your cloud simplified.
It's been a while since KubeCon EU, but of course, on the Kubernetes Unpacked podcast, we have to do a wrap up of KubeCon EU, what it was like, what the focus points were. Hopefully, at least that can give us some type of idea on what we should be expecting for the next at least couple months or year or something like that. My name is Michael Levan.
And my name is Kristina Devochko.
And today we are going to dive into all things KubeCon EU. And I wasn't there, so my assumption is Kristina is going to be doing the majority of the talking.
We can do it like that. I'll report on what I've seen and heard, and you could reflect on that, and then we can discuss and see where it takes us.
There we go.
I mean, the blog posts and videos are still popping up about highlights from KubeCon and NativeCon EU, so I don't think that we're that late in the loop, actually.
When was it? What month?
It was the end of March. It was last week of March.
Oh, okay, yeah. And we're only in the first week of May. I'm going to be honest, I rarely have any idea what day or month it is at this point. So.
I mean, at least when it comes to KubeCon, you really need a month to, process, to digest what has happened and, recover from those 5 days of content overload,
Oh, yeah. I remember when I went to KubeCon North America. And the ironic part is I'm more introverted than extroverted. But even at the event, I was talking to a lot of people and stuff, of course, but I did take the time, kind of to myself, walk around by myself, sit down by myself, all that. And still, after every night, I was just exhausted, like that type of exhaustion where it's I don't want to say it's like an out of body experience, but you're almost not 100% there. I don't know if that makes sense, but.
Yeah. I mean, that's really crazy. Last year, I remember I had this outline where I had 50% of my time dedicated at least to go to the sessions. But, it didn't work. You don't get enough time to do this without breaks. You will not manage it physically and mentally even, because you still need to digest what you just heard at one session before you transition to another. So this time, I didn't manage to attend lots of sessions in person, so I had to focus on the ones I wanted to attend most, and then create a list to watch through. And afterwards, which I'm still doing, so it's a long list of talks. But at least this time, CNCF was really efficient at getting the talks out pretty quickly, just in terms of a few days after the talk happened. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think the thing that I've found that works the most is if you can get to 2-3 sessions tops per day, you're in a really solid set, because I think 2 is really good. If you can hit one in the morning, then walk around a little bit, digest, then hit one in the early afternoon, walk around a little bit, digest, grab some food, head back to the hotel. It makes things easier a little bit to space out, because here's the reality, right? If you go to back-to-back sessions, you're not going to remember anyways, most likely.
No. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, this is also an opportunity where lots of people from the community are gathered in one place. And that's also it gives you the time to also chat with other engineers, maybe with people representing teams from specific companies that you would like to discuss a specific tool, maybe discuss some technical challenges or something like that. So you would use that opportunity because it would bring you more value in some cases than just dedicating all of your time to the talks. So I think quite a few participants also use this as an opportunity to chat with specific people from the community in person.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think also, to your point, meeting people, talking with people, chatting with them. What's your opinion on that? I mean, would you say that's the majority of importance when it comes to the events?
Yeah, I think at least to such big events, I think it's about having a balance, because if we look at this huge agenda, which is packed with lots of different tracks, it is humanly impossible to go from 9 a.m. till 5-6 p.m. just watching the talks. Your brain will not be able to process all of that, and the concentration will not be there. So you will get less and less less out of it the more time goes throughout the day. And you kind of miss out on the opportunity to interact and maybe learn from each other or discuss some challenges with other people who you may not have any specific reason or opportunity to talk to otherwise. And many of the participants are also not necessarily like active community members, who are on the social media all the time and interacting with others. So they may be working with their own projects and then using this opportunity to interact with others and share knowledge. So therefore, I think it's important to use such events as an opportunity to chat to other engineers or participants that are working in the same field as you do, or maybe even in another field, to kind of get inspired from. And then if the talks are recorded, you can always watch that afterwards and like just focus on visiting the talks that really resonate with you and provide you value. That's at least what I feel, what I do, and what I've heard from many others do as well. Of course, it would be a little bit unfortunate for the speakers in some cases. Like if you know that people come to the events to interact, then how many will actually attend your talk? But that's another topic.
Yeah, I mean, I think luckily, regardless of the session, there's going to be somebody in there. So I think the good news is that for the speakers, it's actually a good thing that everything is being recorded as well, right? Because they can use that for their own material of getting themselves out there and on their resume and all that fun stuff. And then for the people that can't join, at least they can also watch it online, right? Pull up a YouTube video. Chances are, even if you are, going to 2 per day and it's 4 days, those 8 to 10 sessions that you're watching in person, you're probably going to have to go back and look at the videos anyways, just to get, an idea and an understanding. So
yeah, totally.
Aside from the overwhelming amount of sessions that you can go to, what was kind of the key factor in this year's KubeCon? Because I wasn't there. So I remember KubeCon North America in November 2023. It felt very architecture revamp heavy and lots of security pieces as well. So what was it for you? Like, what was your take on it for KubeCon EU?
Yeah, if I try to pick out a few things from the huge amount of different activities that have been happening, I feel like it's been double as much as last year. I feel like a lot has been happening. But I think probably the biggest highlight that really is visible to anyone attending or anyone reading about KubeCon and Cloud Native Con EU this year is AI and machine learning. It has been centered around this topic, and even the first day with keynotes was basically dedicated to this topic. I felt even a bit overwhelmed, to be honest. That was a bit unexpected to have the only topic for a single keynote day, for example. So that was really trending a lot. And the rest of the event had many sessions that kind of were dedicated to that. And there was also the AI Hub Day, but I think it also happened for the first time in North American KubeCon, if I'm not mistaken. But that's at least one of the biggest highlights that took really a lot of place during the event. And there have been some interesting sessions. Now, I haven't worked much with AI and also with running AI workloads on Kubernetes yet. Didn't get much chance to do that yet. But I think one of the things that I found interesting that they've been talking about is in terms of better and more efficient GPU utilization and how you could use some specific techniques to kind of share a GPU across multiple workloads. So I found that would be interesting with how much GPUs AI requires and how much more it will require with all the advancements. It was interesting to hear a bit around the research that the different companies have been looking into how to utilize these GPUs efficiently. So that was interesting. That was one highlight. And I think apart from that, also the platform engineering topic has been really buzzing. I think it was for the first time during this event that there was a platform engineering day, because there wasn't one at North American KubeCon.
There was.
There, Michael?
I think so.
There was. Okay.
So. Yeah.
Okay. But at least it hasn't happened many times yet. So if not the first, I think it was the second time then.
Yeah.
And it was like also quite successful from what I got a grasp on, like what are the topics that have been discussed during Platform Engineering Day. I saw like that it's less about tools that you would build the platform with and the building blocks to get that platform up and running with, but it was more about how to treat a platform as a product. How do you get that balance of platform capabilities and the interaction between end users and the platform in terms of user interface and stuff? And I think like you could relate to that a lot, especially in terms of capabilities and the importance of that in terms of what a platform can offer.
Let's take a quick sponsor break. Maximize cloud efficiency with Doit, the trusted partner in multi-cloud management for thousands of companies worldwide. Doit's innovative tools, expert insights, and smart technology make optimization simple. Elevate your cloud strategy and simplify your cloud spend. Visit doit.com. That's DOIT.com. Doit, your cloud simplified. And now back to the show.
For sure. Yeah. I think the interesting and ironic thing that I always see just with my engineer brain always on, we're hearing a lot of talk about AI. The thing is, it's primarily around like prompt engineering, generative AI, making your life easier, etc. But unfortunately, not a whole lot of people are talking about how we get there, you know? So, for example, if you're running Kubernetes, chances are you're going to look at something like Kubeflow. And I have to create more content around Kubeflow. I haven't created much, but even the GPU stuff, as you were saying that, I pulled up a quick link. There's something called HAMI, HAMI, Heterogeneous AI Computing Virtualization Middleware. Whew, it's a lot.
Oh my, what
Oh
an
my gosh,
abbreviation.
I know. HAMI, formerly known as Cadus vGPU Scheduler, is an all-in-one chart designed to manage heterogeneous AI computing devices in a KDS cluster. So this is like the how can we make virtual GPUs a little bit easier to utilize in Kubernetes, which to your point, right, it actually makes a ton of sense. If you go to github.com, for everybody listening, github.com/project hyphen HAMI, HAMI, you'll see that they have a couple of different pieces here, but under the major feature piece, you can set a hard limit on device memory and what's being requested via the GPU, which it makes sense, right? Especially in the world that everything is growing in with AI, because for the past couple of years or so, for everybody that does any type of PC gaming or anything, GPUs, graphics cards, they've been like over the top expensive. Like prices have doubled or more. Why? Because GPUs were getting taken up by, Bitcoin pieces, but then also from all the AI stuff, because for AI to run properly and you have very, very large models, you need very powerful GPUs. So there's almost, and there still is, there's almost this shortage of GPUs because of it. So what's the idea of Kubernetes? The idea of Kubernetes is to have the ability to take something that would have to run on a virtual machine, decouple it as much as possible into, a microservice, and then run it on a smaller scale, but with the same performance. Why not do that with graphics cards, which we clearly can? So projects like HAMI, for example, to be able to virtualize these GPUs, projects like Kubeflow to be able to run data models, learning, everything on Kubernetes is very important. And that kind of goes into the conversation of like Kubernetes continuously becomes and is the underlying platform of choice. Because at this point, we can do everything, right? We can run containers, we can run virtual machines, we can run AI, we can use cross-plane to create services outside of Kubernetes with Kubernetes. So it very much is the underlying platform of choice.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we're also coming to this topic of efficient resource utilization, because this is a really big challenge that we kind of need to have focus on as well, with all the advancements and all the growing demand for AI and machine learning, and the demands it also has in terms of resources that it needs to use. The more data it needs to work with, to learn from, the more resources it would also require, and finding ways on how can we also utilize what we have in a more efficient manner so that we truly get everything we can get from the resources we have now before just getting more, acquiring more resources. That truly requires innovation. And I think we've come quite far in terms of like hardware efficiency and now looking into things like GPU efficiency, CPU efficiency, all that stuff. It's great to have focus on that and have tools and techniques that could help with that.
Totally makes sense. So thinking about KubeCon EU, obviously very AI heavy. I wish it was more AI heavy in the sense of helping engineers with their jobs and the jobs that they want to get and kind of their future. Next episode, we're going to be talking about the future of Kubernetes and platform engineering. So I'm sure we'll dive into this more. It would be great to see less markety talks and hype around AI and Gen AI and blah, 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 and actually see what it can do for engineers. It's not going to make their life easier, but at least we can give them the ability to kind of see what they'll need to do for their jobs when it comes to AI and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think maybe with time, we get to see more of that because I think it really took off with all the hype around it because this has kind of become a breakthrough in the industry in terms of how valuable AI can become in terms of solving potentially quite many challenges we have in the society. And I think like when at some point, I hope at least that the hype will kind of start boiling down and instead we get to see like more real life experience and knowledge sharing from not from the companies or projects who like say, okay, we drop everything we did until now and do AI stuff, like for the sake of AI stuff. But I'm really looking forward to like seeing the real life experience where it actually brought actual value and what the learnings have been, for example, from implementing and adopting that.
Yeah, the stuff that matters. That's what we need. We need more stuff that matters.
Yeah, and I think like, one of the things that I also wanted to mention that was interesting this year is the Cloud Native Hacks initiative that happened during KubeCon. For the first time, there was like a hackathon that CNCF organized together with the United Nations. So the point of that was that there were teams who had like a task to use cloud native technologies to come with a prototype of something that could help address some of the United Nations sustainability development goals that are not just about like nature and ecology, but also about like addressing poverty, safety, the food and building industry and all that areas. So I think there were some interesting projects that came out of that. So I think that something like that could be like more hands-on could be super interesting. Like one of the projects, I think it was the second place that they took, and that was utilizing AI to automatically detect and monitor the deforestation on the global level and kind of make this data available publicly so that everyone kind of can see what is happening on the global level and what the consequences of that may be. So, things like that are more practical and hands-on and can showcase the value we could gain from technologies like AI and ML.
That's kind of the good thing about all of these technologies, right? Like there are several benefits to society, to the environment, to everything as a whole. We need to push those benefits more versus, pushing the Gen AI hype and the this and that. And so I totally agree with you is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's good. We're aligned. Yeah.
Thinking about wrapping up with this talk, I would say the two biggest things that we can think about is when you're going to KubeCon, try to schedule 2 to 3 sessions. This year was all about AI, ML, also the hackathon piece, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, and I think last thing that may be interesting to those who are listening in are working on or have like a project of getting some certifications for Kubernetes, for example. During this event, a Kubestronaut program was launched. That's like to those of you who haven't heard about it yet, you could, if you get all the certifications like KCNA, KCSA, CKAD, and CKS, the 5 ones around Kubernetes, then you can like get a lot of goodies apart from the exclusive jacket and some discounts for the rest of your life to the conferences like KubeCon and Cloud Native Con, and you also kind of get, the pride and status and get to join an elite community. So, that is like a fun new program to kind of motivate community in terms of getting those certifications. So if you're interested to check it out, it's like astronaut, but without an A and with a cube instead. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kristina. Appreciate everybody listening. Hopefully that this helped you with current KubeCons and future KubeCons.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Are you coming to the North American KubeCon, by the way?
Yeah, I will.
Do you know?
I'll be there. Yeah, I just actually submitted my talks yesterday, so fingers crossed.
Awesome. Excited for it. Then maybe we'll get to see some of you who are listening in at the North American one in November in Salt Lake City.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.